Let's get some music playing.
I agree.
How you been, brother? How you been? How you been?
Not bad, man. You think it's better one or better two? One? Hold on. One,
As someone with glasses,
two.
I grew up with that.
Yeah.
Two's good.
Is it
Two's good. Two's
two?
good.
Is good.
Two's good.
But I'd say a little bit of light is not a bad thing.
Not at
You'll
all.
see it a bit in my glasses. I can always not have the glasses on too. So
Let's do some chill music real quick. What is this? What we got here? I may like it. I may not like it, but we will find out. Well, it's not bad. All right. So we are live. We are good to go. What's up, guys? This is Do Let's Chat, where we talk games, movies, and all things in between. We haven't done much of either, but hey, you know, new year, new us. We'll see what happens. We're gonna let it ride, baby. We're gonna let it ride.
I tell you,
So that being said, I'm Isaac,
I'm Juice. What's up, baby?
also known as the Vague Prophet. So the topic of conversation today is the best games we played in 2024. You know,
Yeah.
and just to clarify, just to clarify, we're not saying the games that came out in 2024. This ain't no game of the year for us, and that retrospective, right? It just, there's a lot of games out there. We're each our own individual human on this great big earth, and we can't play everything. We don't get paid to play everything. We play when we got time. And for me, I don't know about you, Juice, but for me, this past year was very productive when it came to gaming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like from the new stuff that was coming out, that actually was pretty decent. I thought it was a decent year for games and releases, at least from my perspective. But at the same time, it also opened up for me to go back into other games to play or explore new avenues that I had never even considered before. It it was a good it was a good year for me.
Cool. So this isn't really our top, we like us have a number one. I mean, we may have a number one. I mean, Juice may have a number one, but these are the games that I would recommend to someone else if they like. I don't know if they may have played these games or not, but if someone asks me, "Hey, what game should I play?" and age and whatnot is no object. They could be a game from 30 years ago. It could be a game now. Just whatever. Like what can I play that's a good time, enjoyable, and like something I should experience. Something I should have in my gaming history, I guess you could say. So I'll go
I
ahead and
guess
go
yeah.
first, if I may.
Please.
And this game is from the past. So I bought a Steam Deck. First off, I'm gonna lead off with that. This whole gaming renaissance for myself started with the Steam Deck because I put some emulators on there. I played some games I played when I was a kid, games I wanted to play that I couldn't play as a kid. And I just delve in deep. But that being said, one of the games is on there, but that's not what I want to talk about right now. The game I enjoyed playing this year, and that being said, I played this game back in 2010. I played it on the iPhone. Never got to beat it though, because I had a jailbroken iPhone. And from what I remember how far I got, I didn't get very far in it. So I felt like I barely scratched the surface. But it was Final Fantasy 1. I bought the Pixel Remaster.
There we go.
And I was like, I want to play Final Fantasy 1. I remember I loved it on my iPhone. And I've always, thought about going back to beat it because I was just like, I feel like I need to beat that game. It's the first one of its kind of Final Fantasy. Unless I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But for me, it was. I remember the music being cool, and the battle mechanics and the world itself wasn't overly complicated. Like there were some things that were kind of difficult. Like I felt like you would need a guide in some instances, but for the most part, it was pretty flush. And playing it, especially the Pixel remaster, you know, obviously there's quality of life things that I did take advantage of, like you can speed up movement speed, right? Which I'm totally down with. And you had the option to turn off battles whenever you wanted. I didn't really care for that because I'm just like, you know, I'm going fast enough already. I can just bang, 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 bang. And when it comes to games like that, I tend to grind. So only at certain times I feel like, oh, I'm pretty overpowered. And if I feel overpowered, I'll just go and level up some more and then retry. You know what I mean? But that is there because I know, you know, new age, like most gamers, most younger gamers aren't for that. Like they don't want the three steps battle. Which I mean, if you played Pokemon Yellow, Red or Blue, and you went in the Zubat cave or the Diglett cave, everyone knows that was a doozy. But for me, I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But my mind said, if it's in the game, so be it, right? And like I said, and the fact that you could get rid of the enemies, that you could turn off enemy encounters, hey, it's in the game. So if you want to play that way, play that way. It's in the game. You're not cheating. It's there. They put it in there themselves. But that's a game I would recommend. You know, it's not very long. It's short and sweet. You know, there's a lot to do for a game that came in from the 80s. And I love the leveling system and how you're able to go, like, you're able to evolve, you know? So without spoiling too much, like that right now, like that would be a game I would off the bat, but like play Final Fantasy 1. Pixel remaster.
It was a good thing. It was a good drop. I think that it is a fantastic pick. So, a game that had me, and I will say it had me at the beginning of the year at least, and I honestly couldn't stop playing it for the longest time, was freaking Brotato. So a little bit different, switching a few gears to it. I think if anyone's followed us and watched me on different podcasts, listen to my concerns about ABK and all that stuff, then you know that I am not a fan of this whole move for mobile games and this empire for that. Brotato did start as a mobile game, which when I first saw, I was like, I mean, it looks stupid. I guess I'll jump into it. I guess I'll try it. Whatever. It was on the Game Pass. I'm getting it. I can play it. I don't have to pay for it. Let's go. Fast forward to even, what was it, Saturday? I was playing Brotato, waiting for us to jump onto Jamboree or Smash. It's fantastic. It is a very simple game. It is roguelike in its own right. It's ultimately just this little arena, you know, fighter type thing, hack and slash type thing, where you're just moving around and fighting things. It's more like Vampire Survivor.
I was gonna ask that. I saw a clip of it because I saw it was on sale on Steam. So I was looking at some gameplay, and I was like, this does look like Vampire Survivor.
A little bit. It's a little bit like Vampire Survivor, but I will say one of the key differences that I've liked about the game is you can't just sit still. There are, if you get to certain moments, definitely. If you're fully kitted, if luck was on your side, if you got everything you wanted and more, yeah, you can do what you want. But ultimately, that game is going to have you mobile in most instances, and you have to learn hitboxes, in my opinion. Like, you have to learn exactly what you can weave through. It's a fun game. I'm sure, and I'm still playing it and cracking codes and stuff. I'm like, this really works, or I really like this. There's probably people out there who've cracked this to where they can just sit still, but I think that's part of my allure, is the fact of it's a very mobile thing. It doesn't seem long. You can stop between waves and come right back to it. It's a very fun game. It's a time killer that took more of my time than I expected. What I came in there just to get rid of time, just to be like, okay, I'm just trying to do something while I'm waiting to play, while I'm waiting to go to work, while I'm waiting to for my wife to come home or something like that. And it ended up being, yeah, any time I had a spare moment, I was jumping on. And the proof is in the pudding, not just for me, but like I had a bunch of bros come down not too long ago. Well, I went to them a couple months ago, and they were like, "Let's play Call of Duty 6. Let's play Black Ops 6. You know, let's play zombies. Let's play all these different things." And I just set up on my TV. We're waiting on them to make a decision, and I pulled the game out. I caught the attention of one. Everyone else followed suit, and now the last time they came down, I was like, all right, maybe we're going to get a little loose, have a good time. we, I mean, we brought Xboxes like we were gonna play some Black Ops, some play some zombies, right? And no, we played Brotato all weekend.
Ain't nothing
It
wrong with that.
it is just because you can do a co-op, and so my thing is like that. To me, that was a fun game. It might be lackluster to some, but trust me, it'll get your attention for no reason. So that was mine that I first want to lead off with. Brotato, man.
That's a great game. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, another game I have in mind, right? It came out in 2023. I didn't play it until beginning of 2024. I wanted to play it sooner, but I was like in the midst of my semester. You know, I was super busy. And this is more of a newer game, and I want to give this game some credit because I feel like there's people like me out there that were in the same situation. So, for instance, I respect FromSoft games, Souls likes, right? I respect them, and I played Dark Souls 1 a bit, but for me, it didn't catch because I'm just like, man, you know, it's very hard. And yeah, like I'm able to get past some bosses and I'm advancing, but for me at that time, I wasn't feeling the rush or the reward of overcoming a difficult obstacle, right? And I feel like with those games, that's the allure to it. And I just wasn't feeling it. I just felt like, man, like I'm playing a game that stresses me out versus me like relieving stress playing a game. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And and that too is like I'm not a big fan of the medieval, you know, aesthetic. It was never my thing. That's why I couldn't get into Skyrim. And even though it's kind of funny, I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy. You know, you would think I would, but for some reason when it comes to games, I just can't really get into it.
That's not. Hold on, I'm cutting in. That's not fair. You don't. People that like Lord of the Rings don't like it because of the medieval setting. They just like it because it's Lord of the Rings in general.
Yeah.
That's a very well-crafted story. It's an amazing, just from the movies to the book. It is the books. It's fantastic. And yeah.
And I've been a Tolkien fan since I can remember. My dad put on the Hobbit cartoon VHS tape, and then ever since then I was hooked.
Yeah.
But anyways, that being said, you know, again, I've always respected those. Like, I would love to, like, I would watch playthroughs, I would watch speed runs of it, just because I'm like, you know, it's fun for me to watch. Like, I don't have to stress about it. I ain't gotta do nothing. I'm just watching. I'm enjoying myself. And then a game came out that has an aesthetic that that's really appealing to me, and I do love Bloodborne. You know, that and that's unfortunate I couldn't beat that game because my PS4 crapped out. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, Lies of P came out, and I saw it, and I was like, this looks like my type of game. And I know there are people out there that'll say, well, you have the Star Wars games, right? Which, yeah, you do. Those are Souls like. Those are very forgiving Souls like games, and I enjoyed that, but I would never put it to that caliber. And for me, Lies of P was that one game that I was like, okay, I feel if I could get through this, I could take on a Souls like this is my measuring stick, right? This is and you know, I played it. From beginning to end, I was enamored by the gameplay, the art style, the enemies, the bosses, the weapons. Costumes could have been a little more There could have been a little more, you know, a little more aesthetics to collect. But I get it. It's a smaller game.
Yeah.
But the story to it, the emphasis on the music. And Juice can attest to this. I will call him. I'm like, bro, have you played Lies of P, bro? And I was so into it to where when I beat it, I fortunately got like the perfect ending first go, and then you know you get that secret ending, the true ending, and then you realize, you know, things about the character which you thought it was one thing but it was another, and then on your second playthrough, even with the storyline, you know, so basically the machines they talk to you, but it's like hieroglyphics. Like you can kind of read it, but on your second playthrough, you're understanding what they're saying, and it's like a nice plot twist to it all. And like that game, I was like, okay, I love this game. And which kind of led me to playing Elden Ring. And right now I'm in love with Elden Ring. And I know people say like, well, it looks like Dark Souls. And it does, but I yearned for another Souls-like experience. And Elden Ring was on sale. And I just been on that. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck, on my PC. But anyways, if you're like me, if you're someone like me that respects Souls likes and want to get into it, but you don't want to touch the Souls games just yet, maybe they're a little too intimidating. Lies of P is a good game to get you into it. It holds your hand at times, you know. So yeah, that's a game I highly recommend.
Little afterword for that too is, I feel Lies of P was appealing to a lot of people, definitely you as well. You loved Bloodborne, and we've all been waiting for a Bloodborne 2. And this game felt more like an interesting hybrid. Like it had more of the feel, especially the mechanics of Bloodborne, in my opinion. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it was a different setting entirely than the medieval setting, you know? Like it definitely has a steampunk aspect, but I digress. It's a great pick though, and honestly, you've been telling me to jump into it. I've dabbled. I need to actually just like go heavy into it. But for me, I've been just pulled more towards multiplayer games for the most part this past year. Part of the reason that Brotato really blew up for me is because they put in a co-op, for instance, and I was like, holy crap, you know? And, honorable mention to that, between Brotato and golfing with friends, I would just jump on, mess around, don't care, right? But a game that came out a few years back, I didn't jump in on the hype at that time, but I have since jumped into it. And I told myself, I'm not the biggest fan of survival games. Survival games are great, but it just kind of depends what's going to happen with it. I mean, if you're going into it solo or with a group of friends who haven't played it before or who have never really played survival games, it's kind of great. You can build a really good time with that. Part of the reason Minecraft does so well is because it has that survival aspect and people are learning things, and it's great. But when you jump into these type of things, having an experienced player can sometimes take away your experience, and it happened with me in Ark. It's happened with me in other things where it's like, okay, well, the experienced player is just taking me through the rung, so they just want to get me here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enter the game, I was able to play Valheim. It was a great game. It is a great game. I'm playing it with someone who's played through the game up to the 4th area, because he hasn't played the 2 DLCs. But when I say DLC, the 2 updates, the 2 update areas. But despite him knowing everything and noting, and he's telling us everything else, the game is still a challenge, and you still gotta learn. It's a harsh teacher at times. The aesthetic is amazing. The visuals are fantastic, and I was running it on the lowest settings, but I was like, let's see what the laptop can handle, and actually can handle a lot more. It is a fantastically looking game. I love being on the open sea and just seeing Yggdrasil and the night at night. Like, I know it's dangerous, but I will stay out there all night, fight every sea serpent. Like, it's so beautiful out there. It's so fun to play, especially with friends. And so that game, I find myself logging on weekly still, ever since we jumped into it. And I'm just going to toss in, like, if you have ever played survival games and had kind of I don't know, or, anything like that, jump into a server for Valheim. I guarantee you, people are just there to have a good time, feel like Vikings back in the day, kick some tail, drink some mead. It's a fun time.
Well, the music's fine, and the music's great. I love the music. It's so relaxing.
Bro, I love being on the open sea music while you're just like chilling at night. I wouldn't have it any other way. I will go sailing with anybody. If you want to row the boat, I'll row the boat, and let's just chill.
Yeah,
it is. But that really had me last year, more than I expected, and that's one of mine.
Yeah. So another game I got quite a few games, right? I got quite a few,
Oh yeah.
and we got nothing but time. And the thing is, I thought about limiting it, but I'm like, why limit? Why limit it if I could share my experience and maybe someone who watches this or anything could be like, you know what, I'll give that game a shot. That being said, back onto the Steam Deck. I have emulators on there of games that I own. I just like it to take it with me. So that's the only thing. Now, this game I played as a kid, so I guess I'm kind of breaking rules a little bit, but I played on the 64, but I never had a memory card, so I only got past like the first level, so I don't count it. And that game is Spider-Man for the N64/PS1. And I bring this game up because is it the most advanced game out there? Well, at the time for a Spider-Man game, it actually was.
Yep.
You know, and my favorite Spider-Man game of all time is Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube. I like that more than the new Spider-Man, you know, and no disrespect to Insomniac Spider-Man, I just like it more. Insomniac Spider-Man, it's fine. It's a great game. I love it. But this one was it checked off all the boxes. Unlike you, Juice, you went more multiplayer this past year. I didn't. I had an experience to where my taste for multiplayer took a sharp right turn. And I was like, you know what? I just want to be by myself, and I just want to play games. There's games I can play with friends of mine that I can enjoy, play with my brother, play with you. But I was like, you know what? I have a lot of games I've always wanted to play, and now I feel like it's the right opportunity for me to do that. And Spider-Man was one of them. And I'm about to put that at number 2 of my all-time favorites, above the Insomniac one. And here's why. And this is what I miss about games created back then versus now, is the fact that when we play games, yeah, you can have some like realistic things in it, but we're playing, at least for me, I'm playing a game to forget all that, just to be an overpowered tank, just do these things that you can't do. That's not normal.
Live out that power fantasy. I hear what you say. Yeah. I mean, come on now. That was cracked. That was Crackdown. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get you.
And just to give an example, and again, I'm not trying to insult Insomniac Spider-Man. It's just games nowadays have pushed more to realism with some fiction tied to it. You know what I'm saying? So like, for instance, with Spider-Man, I felt like I was watching an episode of the cartoon, or I was reading a comic, because Spider-Man was just ridiculously strong. Like, I'm picking up garbage,
dumpsters.
Huh?
Dumpsters.
There you go. I'm picking up dumpsters and throwing them at people. I'm picking up cars and throwing them at people. Like I'm doing things that don't make sense, like that could kill someone, but it's a game. It's Spider-Man. They're not dying. You're just knocking them unconscious. You know, like, and it's self-aware, and the fact that game had as many villains as it did, had as many cameos as it did, to where I'm just like, why did we stop this? Like with the new Spider-Man and Insomniac, you don't meet Daredevil, but you get a card and you get to see his workplace. So like, oh, there goes an Easter egg. Oh, there's an Easter egg. That game was like, here's Daredevil. Here's Johnny Storm. Here's the Punisher. Here's Captain America. We don't care. It's comics. It's a video game. It's Spider-Man. We're just gonna throw them in there. Does it make sense? I mean, it does a little, but you know, like, there goes Venom. There goes Carnage. There goes Lizard. Like you have all these characters, and I'm just blown away that this game was way back when, versus now you have to wait for a part 2 to get Venom or other spider villains. You have to wait, or like you said, there's not really cameos. There's Easter eggs to hint at, oh, there's this, maybe they'll say something about that. And I was just like, dude, this is such a refresher for me for a game to give as much fan service as it did and still have enough for Spider-Man 2 Return of Electro.
Hmm.
And I was
Yeah.
playing through that, like, and I'm just like, dude, and this game is, I mean, it's short, but long enough to where, like, once I beat it, I felt like, you know what, that was a good
That
time.
was nice.
And that being said, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you deserve to treat yourself to playing that game. You deserve it to, like, you need to play it just so you can see the differences between now and then. And like I said, it doesn't make sense either because Spider-Man's like webbing through the sky. But who cares? He's Spider-Man, baby. It doesn't matter.
Man, nobody gonna call out Wonder Woman for lassoing lightning. I ain't gonna call out Spider-Man. Okay.
But that's another game I feel people should give a chance to play.
So, like you said, and it's true, we are on two different spectrums. There is a game that was solo play that I did play that we'll get into later. You know,
Yeah.
even then, I will say I'm still a couple years behind with it, but I'm glad I started now. But back to what I was playing though, and I'm just gonna say right now, it took the world by storm. It took my heart by storm. I had many great hours with friends playing this.
I think I know what you're. I think I know this one.
Come on.
Go ahead.
It was amazing. There were so many things that were amazing about this game. It was multiplayer. It was everyone coming together. There were memes, there were tropes, there were different things, and you know, it was highly anticipated. It delivered on release. And yes, it fell. It pittered a little bit. You know, it pittered a lot of bit. It crashed hard. It's literally the bike meme where they put the stick in their own wheel. But it's still a fun game, and even going back into it at the end of the year, it was very fun. Ice, you know what I'm talking about? It's Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 was a great game. Honestly, it had all the makings of Game of the Year for the awards. It had all the makings for possibly the best release of a game last year. And I'm still sad for what happened to it. Sadly, we can't speak onto that. And I'm not here to speak onto that. I'm here to talk about the good times, the jokes, the references, the fighting of the bugs, the fighting of the robots. It's the jokes. It's this camaraderie.
The jokes.
The jokes, dude. Like the joke.
Yeah.
I mean, like I remember after the first patch, like, you know, it had its own meta. Everyone was going for the railgun. Everyone was going for like all this stuff. They nerfed the railgun. And the first thing I saw within the first few hours of that patch, like notes coming out and stuff, someone had taken a Terminid, like one of the Terminids, one of the chargers, like in front of a PC, and it shows like it typing. It goes, "Well, I just think the the railgun is too strong, and we need to nerf it." You know, it's like jokes. Like obviously it's propaganda. Like the jokes. I mean, it's just great. You know. I saw a community come together like no other, and here is the other reason why it had my respect, not just from the game, but from the community, is legitimately everyone came together in many facets. There were a few posts I saw of people who passed away within their gaming groups, like, my friend passed away from one reason or another. Everyone thrown up the salute. I threw up the salute, and I was like, that is so dope. And like nobody's making jokes. It's like, that's nice.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the white elf in the room, though. When Stoney literally shot its own game in the foot, and then while it was writhing on the ground, continued to shoot,
kicking it,
and just before it dies, like, whoa, buddy, hold on, no, you need to breathe. And like, it's like, okay, but like whenever they did their whole, you have to have PSN and stuff like that. Terrible PR move. Obviously, it killed an entire franchise literally overnight.
Sony gave it the
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It had a CEO who was talking to everyone,
Which is
hearing
what
what
you
they were
want. Which is
saying,
what you want.
which is what you would have wanted,
It's what you want.
and and it happened that way. And you know what? And I've talked about it before. I'm not faulting them. I'm not here to talk about. I'm not faulting them either. They did what they wanted. They contracted to do. This is what they wanted for the game, and they implemented it. It was a terrible decision. PR, like, I can't get on to you for making a business decision like that. However, you also must eat the consequences of your actions, that you should have had better insight knowing what would happen when you did it. You know? That also being said, again, the community comes together. Not just people who are playing Helldivers. I think this is the first time in this console war craze that I saw Xbox and PlayStation gamers together, both before this moment and at this moment. Before this moment, all that we kept seeing from Xbox, despite it not being on Xbox at the time, was imagine what happens when we finally come in. And then we just saw the memes of, like, it showed in-game when it was like PlayStation, PC, like, oh, and then it's like on your left, and it's just open. It's just Xbox coming in, and it was a great time, right? Everyone was highly anticipating this game coming to Xbox. Prospectively, it's gonna be a good time. And then when Sony made that decision, terrible decision, the gaming community, even naysayers, even people who did not want to jump into the game because it was too hyped, were coming like, that was messed. That sucks. Everyone came together and was like, that's a terrible decision. They locked out over 100 countries from playing the game. What the crap? We stand in unity with you. The voice was loud. It was strong. It was dedicated. It was assertive. It was directly where it needed to go. And it is fantastic to see that type of stuff. So Helldivers will always have a special place in my heart. Of course, I'll go back and play it, despite everything. And it's been getting even better, in my opinion. But
what's so funny is that Sony's been hurting for a live service game. They get one and they don't know how to act.
I mean, you know, and that I point that, like, that did suck, you know. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, especially since it couldn't come out of that, we have to recognize what happened. But the community came together, and the game still stands. I mean, it made some terrible decisions after that. You know, have the CEO stepping down, and you could tell it's probably because that CEO pointed out, yo, guys, yes, we had to push the button, but we were told to push the button by the people who own it. You know, it's like, no, you need that type of transparency, so you know where to direct that hatred. You know, so you could I could talk all day about. The fact is, I say still play it. You know, I still say that if you have it, go back to it. If you don't, I mean, $40 is steep, even in this economy, let's be fair. So I'm waiting for it to go on sale and try it out. It's still an older game.
And they have DLC coming out for it, right? So hey, so who knows? Maybe you could do a No Man's Sky and, like, you know, do a whole 180 and fix itself. You know, it's an opportunity for it.
It's already been getting some people coming back with some of its changes. Having a bayonet on your gun has to be the sickest thing. And no, it's just like, and vehicles now, bro. We just like traveling. It's great. So, but that would be one of my, like, I fell in love with it, and I will still love it despite how it ended.
That's good. So I still have like a whole bunch of games like I wish I could mention off, but it's way too long to do, right? So I feel like I'll name maybe like one or two more that I would recommend to someone to play. And one of them being a game that is coming out as a 3-part series. And if you're someone like me that's not patient, you rather play the OG and get the full experience right now. That way when you go back to play the new stuff, you can be like, oh, they changed that, they added this, yada yada yada. What's going on, Archer Paris? Thanks for stopping by, man. That game that I beat, that I recommend, is the 1997 Final Fantasy VII. I played that this last year. You know, I bought it and I let it sit there for so long, just because I'm like, it's a lot of time to it's a very large game for a PS1 game, right?
Yeah.
And And now and I bought the new Final Fantasy 7 for the PC, and I never played it because I was like, I want to play the OG because I want to know what's different, what's the same. I want the storyline that way. If they show it, like the way I visualize it doesn't look the way I visualized it. The whole thing, like that's the way I felt about Resident Evil 4. Like how I saw Resident Evil 4 remake is how I saw it as a kid on the GameCube. You know what I mean? Like that kind of
Yeah.
effect. I recommend it. I will say I did use some quality of life things in there too. They also they had the speed, the fast pace and then they have turn off encounters, and then you have God mode, which I used for like a second. And I'm like, okay, I'm literally not gonna get the. I might as well just watch a playthrough if I'm gonna play that way, right? My game is hard. It is very hard, but it was enjoyable. Music was great. Obviously, everyone knows the story for the most part. That was a good time. I'm excited to go into the new one. But I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Like if Final Fantasy 7 was the game you want to get into, but you're waiting for all three to be out, you don't have to wait. It's right there. Like it's already out. The comparison I give it to is there's a Christian show or Christian, however you want to look at it. It's called The Chosen. And people are like, "Oh man, I can't wait to see what the next episode is." I'm like, "Well, the Bible's been out for forever. So if you wanted to skip to the end, it's right there, And that's how I feel about.
Judas isn't really going to go through it, is he? Like, can't wait till next season.
Is Jesus gonna make it out alive? Anyways, I digress. But basically, what I'm saying is, why wait when you have the opportunity to play the game through its entirety now? And in that way, you still have time until the third one drops. So you could beat it and then hop into 1 and 2 and see again, like what's different, what's the same, yada yada yada. So that was one that I would recommend. And unpopular opinion, even though it is on there, unpopular opinion, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 1 more. Sorry.
That's fair. No. I definitely respect it. So, on that same token, that would actually be the solo play game that I would bring up,
Right.
And so I won't bring it up now. I would say Final Fantasy VII Remake. I started it. I was able to kind of start at the end of last year when I got my PlayStation 5. Shout out to you, Brent, work in progress. Because I got that from him, so I could start playing these games. And it was, I was like, okay, cool, when I've got time. I didn't really start diving into it until this year, though. And I love it. So much so, there's so much that happens in the game that I either find myself spending hours upon hours on particular mechanics or restarting and replaying stuff. Whenever the game looks fantastic. The voice acting is great. They've changed some voices up than what you may have known from Advent Children and different things like that. But you know what? It's still a fantastic game. I love the game. It is different. It is definitely a remake. It's got a lot of the similar story and stuff with some added elements that are interesting. I am avoiding spoilers like the plague for this. I've been doing that for years, doing my best. I can't avoid every spoiler, of course, but I'm still trying to figure out things like the Dementor things. I won't go into too much detail. Like, okay, I think I got it, but I could be wrong. And honestly, shout out to Work in Progress. His patience is immeasurable because he just wants me to play that so we can talk about it. But I'm sipping on this like a fine wine. I mean, I'm coming into this year playing it too. It's a fantastic game, and especially with Rebirth that's come out too, you have a lot of game to play.
Mm-hmm.
I could see myself platinuming this and actually trying with it. The fights are fun. The mechanics to fighting is everything I've ever wanted in a Final Fantasy. It's, to me, fixed some issues with certain characters, in my opinion. Tifa was always useless to me. I'm sorry, but once you get Vincent, once you get Vincent and Sid, I had Cloud, Vincent, Sid in the original game. They all fit their roles perfectly. Like these powerhouses. Everyone else fell to the wayside. with one exception. I loved Red 13, more of his aesthetic, and I would pull him in. I switch out Sid for him all the time, you know? So out of those four, flip side of it, in this game, Tifa is my, like, I don't even play Cloud as much. I play Tifa. Tifa is amazing. I love fighting with her. She actually feels like a brawler. It's fantastic, you know? Is what is Barrett, but yeah, that's that game. And music, I'm sorry, like music is always great with the Final Fantasy games, but these remasters, these remakes of the songs, these imagination of these songs that you're used to hearing it now with this new spin to it. There is a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth concert going on in February that I kind of want to go to. If it wasn't in Houston.
Ew, why did you want to have a swamp?
Bruh, but I want to go. Because if they even give an iota, small portion of the passion that's in this music, this masterpiece when it comes to the music of Final Fantasy and the remake and rebirth stuff, I'm going to love it. So I would actually suggest the flip side of it. Like I said, if you want to wait until all three come out, play Final Fantasy VII though, because like you said, it's already here in its majority of the story. However, I think there's enough game here to keep your palate cleansed. You know, like to keep you really going on diving into it until the next one. So do it.
So I got one more. I got one more, then we can start wrapping up. And I was like arguing with myself because I'm like, I'm a big Zelda fan, and Skyward Sword deserves its flowers because it was a phenomenal game. Okay. But I'm not gonna go that route. I'm actually gonna go to a game franchise that I don't necessarily care for. I made this known from like the beginning, and I've mentioned it multiple times. I'm not the biggest Mario fan. Never have been. I respect it. You know, there's some games that I like, but it's gonna be hard for me to get into it unless it's like a Mario Kart Party, you know, that of the sort. That being said, this game, I was so addicted to it. I played it while my girlfriend was over. I was like, hey, you're watching this TV show, right? How about you watch the TV show? And you know, we just hang out and I play my game, and she was like, okay, cool. That's how addicted to it I was. I'll give you a hint, Juice. It involves this.
I get you. Smash Melee.
You're right. No.
There you go.
Paper Mario.
Oh my gosh, you did dive hard to that last year.
I was into that game. Like, I was walking the treadmill. You know, I had my Switch. I bought a mount to put on the treadmill, and what I've been doing is playing Vampire Survivor. I've been playing other games, and I was like, you know, I have the whole subscription. Let me see what's on the 64. And I see Mario Party, and I'm not the biggest Mario fan. But I'm like, you know, people are like 1,000-Year Door this, you know, Origami King that, yada yada yada. Let me just see what it is all about. Let me just dive in, and in my head, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna walk for an hour. I'll just play for an hour. And you know, whatever. I'm sure I'm gonna play for the hour and be like, all right, cool, I experienced it, whatevs, done. Well, I did my hour. I got off the treadmill. I took my Switch off the mount. I sat on the couch, continued playing Paper Mario, and I took my Switch to work. I took it everywhere with me, and all I did was play Paper Mario.
Freaking
and
but it's a good game.
Dude, that game, and the thing is, it still looks good. In my opinion, it was ahead of its time, as most Nintendo products are, or most Nintendo games are, not products, I should say, when it comes to their hardware. they're innovative, but like the Switch can't even. It's besides the point. Anyways, um, but that game I recommend it to anyone. It's not okay. I'll say this: it is hard, but not too hard. Like it's a Nintendo game, right? They'll hold your hand at times when you need them to, but it's a very enjoyable game. F Bowser at the end. Gosh, F Bowser. I will say his boss fight was, oh my gosh. But that game was phenomenal. Like if you want something that you can pick up, put down real quick, you know, or a game that you want to pick up and you just want to get lost, Paper Mario's where it's at.
You can respect that.
And
I can respect that.
Juice, as you can tell, I'm more on the vintage side of the games.
It's true.
And you know, I know there's a lot of new age games out, but what I appreciate, and I'm gonna sound like an old head, right? And I don't mean to, but what I like about playing those older games, man, is like some games nowadays, and I feel like it's been a complaint in the gaming community at times, especially when it came to Assassin's Creed, you know, where you have such a big you have such a big world and a lot of things you can do to where you could do it and it's fun, but at some point it feels like it's a job, you know, like you get too distracted doing these side things, you forget to play the main game, and then you burn yourself out unintentionally doing those side things and not beating the main game. And you know, at least I'm prone to doing that myself. I know there's people out there that love that stuff, and you know, more power to you. But for some, I just love the simplicity of older games and how innovative they had to be versus how nowadays it's more copy and paste and, you know, change it up a bit to make it your own type of deal. Like innovation in gaming, in my opinion, has kind of halted. And you can call me, you can say I'm wrong. You can say I'm wrong. You know, it's just from my perspective, I just feel the magic of it is kind of gone. Like the heart of it, the heart that you feel the developers made their game with ain't there no more. Now they're just producing it. I mean, like I said, I could be wrong. Like, and that's not saying every new age game. I'm just saying that's most of them.
I mean, so no. Like, Jacob and I, and Jacob, we miss you, but Jacob and I were talking about this recently, and another topic that we want to bring up at a later time is the fact of vintage games kind of do have our thought on it, you know? In the essence of time, you know, because we are going to be wrapping up soon. Another game that's got me was freaking Link's Awakening, and not the new version.
That game is phenomenal.
It is, and I told you, like, my feel-good game is Link to the Past, and so I play that very often. And so probably I was like, no, I'm on Ice's family plan. Thank you, Ice. And I was like, I mean, I've got access to all these other things. Let's just go through the catalog here, right? Seasons and Ages are on there, and I was gonna jump through that, but then I saw Link's Awakening. I was like, I kind of want to play this, yeah. And I've just been, I loved that game, you know. I loved playing the older game. I have not played the newer one, but honestly, I don't have a need to, you know. And I don't know what it is about it. And so Jacob and I were talking last week about it, and we were like, I mean, I find myself gravitating more towards the older games, you know? I mean, and I told you that my feel-good game is Link to the Past. I play that game a little too often. I find myself when I get on the Switch, if we're not doing Smash, you know, I find myself going into these emulators, specifically stuff like on the Super Nintendo, stuff on the Game Boy Advance and stuff like that, and playing these games. It's just great, you know. And I could bring up a bunch of games I played there. I didn't think they were necessarily, I'd say notable, but it's like I was just kind of going through it. But the one I wanted to bring up was freaking Link's Awakening, and now Seasons and Ages. I'm really big onto those, you know. And I have to agree with you. There's just a difference. Spider-Man 2 came out, and not last year, 2 years ago, right?
Mm.
Heavily scrutinized. I will go out of my way to say that would probably be the closest to a passion project we've seen in a while. Like an actual, I say passion project, but a project that was big that they actually put their heart and soul into.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. I will say that. In fact, I'd want to say that 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
It was.
2023 was the year of passion projects.
They have some heat.
From Hi-Fi Rush, yeah, from Hi-Fi Rush all on. Even Starfield, from what Todd Howard was saying, this was exactly what he wanted. He wanted this game for the longest time, It's like, I'm down with a year of passion projects, but like something like Spider-Man coming out, and then just heavy scrutiny, and comparing it to standards because of production, and look at the cost versus what we got. So, and we'll do that, but it's like, man, remember back in the day where no one cared about that? Remember back in the day when we're playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City? We didn't ask what the thing was for it. We just loved the fact that we could get to the chopper if we did the cheat code and got up on like we just did our own thing. We played games to play games. No one asked how much it costs to make Halo 2 or Halo 1. No one asked about the intricacies and the coding and mapping of Gears of War. No one went out of their way and asked about server cost and what expansions and stuff like that for things like Oblivion and Call of Duty. No one was looking into those things back in the day, And nowadays it's like everything comes out, we're already looking at the receipt. Like everything comes out. Yeah.
The thing is, because back in the day too, is because when we bought a game, it was complete.
Well,
it was always complete. We didn't get half a game that was broken that needed a whole bunch of updates, and then you had to buy the other half of the story.
Not all the time, of course. Brent and I have had that conversation where he's like, back in the day, there would be duds that are sent out, and he wasn't wrong. There is a minimal amount of games that would come out flawed. Yeah. I got one a long time ago when I bought Brave Fitsumi Fusashi for the first time. We talked about that, where it was busted. Just there was no going past it. It was a dud, right? But it wasn't the majority of the status quo. And nowadays, it wasn't even nowadays. What was it? At the end of the 2000s and 2010 and stuff like that, people started realizing that whenever you get a game, it had the rest of the game locked behind paywalls, right?
It was on the disc,
all
though.
The data,
it's on the disc.
All the data was on one disc. And after
Capcom
that,
got in trouble for that a lot.
Well, I'm just saying, though, but it's true, though. It's like you're locking away all this other stuff that we already purchased and owned. And instead of hearing that complaint, like, guys, this is wrong, and going, yeah, we should change that, instead they're like, let's make it even harder. Let's just not even put it on there. Let's start giving people games with discs that don't mean anything. Because ultimately, it's just going to contain a code. Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, then we'll wrap it up. Because you're talking about people were hating on Spider-Man 2. I didn't play it. I want to play it. It looks like a good time. The game that disappointed me of 2024. I'm going to name one game that disappointed me of 2024. Miles Morales. A great disappointment. Not that good of a game. People loved it because I feel like they watched the movie and they were still riding that high. That was a very underwhelming Spider-Man game.
But yeah, no. So that, I mean, honestly, I think that's just the best way to wrap it up. We could talk all night about those things. And
you don't have one dud on you? I threw one out there. You want to throw one dud out there? Do you have one or not?
One dud from 2023 or just in general?
In general, like that you played in 2024. Because I played Spider-Man Miles Morales in 2024 and I hated
one dud that I played in 2024 and never went back to. Okay, like it is what it is. It just is what it is. Throne and Liberty. It is what it is. I understand a lot of people really liked that game when it came out. It was getting some hype and success, But ultimately, that annoyed the crap out of me. Like, I don't know what it was. I've played MMOs before, and I was like, okay, I see that. People are wanting me to jump into that. I will try it, you know? And I haven't went back since. And that would be, I guess that is the multiplayer aspect, but it's just, that's just how I feel on it. So.
Well, if you guys managed to watch all the way through the podcast, what was your favorite game of 2024? Leave it down below. Let us know. Or what was your biggest disappointment of 2024? Put it down. Let us know. We'd like to talk about it. I will see you guys this Friday. I'm having a Five Nights at Freddy's 2 stream where I don't end it until I beat it.
I'll see you Sunday. Like, no. We're just like
I came close a couple times. I got robbed. It's okay. But it's been a good time. And I would have put Five Nights at Freddy's on this list because it's a game I've never really played. And I think I could. I mean, I could have, because I played that in 2024 towards the end. Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is a good game. Just throw it out there. It's a good game. Shout out to Continental, who recommended it, and now
you had a lot of fun with that game.
Yeah, and viewership has been good with that game.
So no, my okay, and I know we're wrapping up, but like an aside to it, watching you play that game reminded me of like, man, where did it go? You know, like I like that we had this conversation. Yeah, like because you look like you're having so much fun, man. And that's what games are supposed to be, is fun. I don't care about cost. I don't care about publicity. I don't care. I care if it's fun. Yeah. And you were having so much. And it's a fun game. I'm just leaving it there.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. Like I said, I'll be on Friday at 7. And the stream doesn't end until I beat it. Unless it gets ridiculously late, then I'll make an exception. But we're gonna go late. We're gonna go late though. We're gonna go late. I'm not gonna stop after 2 hours. We're gonna push through.
You don't get it, bro.
So that being said, I'm Isaac.
I'm Juice.
We'll catch you guys next time. Later.